You know, I didn't move out here for drama. After 22 years in the Navy and one divorce that left more than just a dent in my wallet, I just wanted quiet somewhere I could actually hear the wind before I heard another person talk. That's how I ended up at the edge of a little valley just outside Brookhaven County, in this old cedar cabin that looked like it had been waiting for me the whole time. The place sat on 3 acres by a lazy stream surrounded by willows that bent like old men in prayer. I fixed it up myself, replaced a few beams, built a porch where I could drink my morning coffee and watch the mist roll off the water. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine, every squeaky board and crooked nail of it. Up the hill sat the Pine Hollow development, fancy houses, shiny SUVs, folks who thought nature was something you admired through double-pane glass. They had their HOA and their little rules about fence colors and trash days. I wasn't part of it. My land had been parceled out long before the HOA was even born. The creek was the line, simple, natural, beautiful. I liked it that way. Then she moved in. Marlene Brock. Picture a woman in her 50s who smelled like money and hairspray, always wearing pastel polos and pearls that looked like they came with their own mortgage. She was elected HOA president in less than 2 months and started beautifying the community. I figured fine, her circus, her monkeys. But it wasn't long before her eyes wandered downhill toward my side of the creek. It started small. A note under my windshield asking me not to leave muddy tire tracks at the community market. Then some guy named Trent from the HOA came by asking if I'd mind clearing the overgrowth by the creek for better visibility. Visibility for what? I asked the fish. He laughed nervously and left, but I knew where that suggestion came from. A few weeks later, I overheard 2 locals at the feed store talking about some Riverside Wellness Lodge. HOA's gonna make it a real moneymaker, one said. Marlene says they'll reclaim the lower lots for cabins. My stomach sank. The lower lots were my land. At first I thought it was gossip. Then one morning I saw 2 surveyors on my property, neon vests, drone buzzing overhead like a mosquito from hell. I walked down, coffee in hand, calm as I could manage. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" I asked. One smiled too much. "Just conducting a site survey for the Pine Hollow Wellness Retreat," he said. I asked, "You realize this is private property?" He flipped his clipboard, muttered something about development zones. I pulled up the pink flag they'd planted on my side of the creek and said, "Your paperwork's wrong. Take your flag and your drone and get off my land." They did, but I already knew who sent them. That Thursday, I showed up at the HOA clubhouse, air-conditioned smiles, fake plants, the smell of overpriced candles. Marlene sat at the head of the table wearing a lavender blazer and that smug patience only people who never worked a day with their hands can pull off. "Mr. Carter," she said, like my name was a problem she had to solve. "To what do we owe this visit?" I dropped my property map in front of her. "Your surveyors trespassed. Your project crosses my boundary. I want it stopped." She barely glanced at it. "Our consultants believe the creek's jurisdiction is ambiguous." I laughed. "No, it's not. I've got every deed and map since the 70s. That line is clear." She smiled, that thin politician's smile. Then perhaps a clerical error. "We'll review it." I told her, "You don't flatten land you don't own and call it an error." Her face went cold. "You might want to consult a lawyer before making accusations," she said. "This project has broad support." From who, I asked. "People who like floodplains." That hit her. For a second she blinked. Then she said, "You'll be hearing from our legal team." I just nodded, looking forward to it. Over the next week, the HOA sent newsletters bragging about their eco-luxury cabins and therapeutic streamside lodging. My phone started ringing, neighbors asking why I was blocking progress. One guy told me, "Come on, it's just land. People who say that don't understand anything worth having." Soon, construction trailers rolled in stacks of lumbermen with hard hats, a sign that read, "Future site of Pine Hollow Wellness Retreat." I filmed everything, timestamps, GPS coordinates, erosion marks. Then one morning I woke up to the sound of chainsaws. I ran outside. They were cutting branches off my willow tree, the same one my daughter and I planted a swing on years ago. "Stop," I yelled. The foreman turned, said, "It's a hazard." Marlene said, "Clear it. It blocks future views." "Touch it again," I said, "and I'll have the sheriff here in 10 minutes. They stopped. Hours later, I got a county notice claiming the tree was a public safety concern. Marlene was building a paper trail to justify what she was already doing in the dirt. That night, I called an old friend, Tony, who works in environmental compliance. He said, "Get evidence soil samples, photos, GPS tags. If they're touching a waterway without permits, it's state and maybe federal." So I did. I marked the site, roped it off, hung signs that read, "Environmental investigation, pending no trespassing." 2 days later, Marlene marched down my driveway in heels clicking like gunfire. "What is that sign?" she demanded. I didn't even stand up. "A warning," I said. "Same as the one you ignored." She snapped. "You can't do this. You're interfering with community projects. It's slander." "Then sue me," I said, "and pray the state doesn't bring their own clipboards." For the first time, she looked unsure. Then came the rain. At first it was a drizzle. Then it started coming sideways, hammering the roof like a drum. By dusk, the creek was angry, swollen, fast alive. I'd seen this before. In '09, it had flooded so bad a bridge a mile up got torn clean out. I called the county, left a message, even called Marlene. "You built too close," I said. "Move your materials. This isn't a threat. It's a warning." She didn't answer. That night, the storm ripped through like it had a score to settle. Around 3 a.m., I heard a crack so loud it shook the walls. I grabbed my flashlight, ran out, and there it was. The first cabin sliding off its foundation, tipping into the torrent like a paper toy. Within 20 minutes, another went. The river took them all, one by one, splintering beams washing away her little empire of ego. By sunrise, the rain eased and Marlene showed up, trench coat, umbrella, flipping in the wind, eyes wide. She saw the wreckage and went pale. Then she saw me behind my fence and screamed, "You did this. You sabotaged the bank." I just stared. "You think I control the river," I said. "Maybe check the weather service before you start yelling." She was shaking, half from rage, half from fear. "You warned me," she shouted. "Yeah," I said, "and you didn't listen." Later that morning, the sheriff showed up. Young guy, decent sort. "She filed a complaint," he said. "Sabotage, negligence." I showed him my footage, the time-stamped emails, the floodplain maps. He looked through them, then said quietly, "Between us, it looks like karma." By noon, reporters were crawling all over the place. News vans, drones, microphones, the whole parade. One of them asked, "Is it true you warned them?" I said, "Yeah, I warned them. The river doesn't negotiate." That line ended up everywhere. Social media, headlines, memes. For once, the internet actually agreed with me. Marlene tried to fight back. Filed a defamation suit claiming I'd ruined her reputation. My lawyer, Connie, tough as nails, just laughed. "Good," she said, "that means discovery. We'll see all her emails." And we did. Turns out her own consultant had warned her months earlier. High erosion risk, flood potential. Pull cabins back 40 feet. She replied, "Push forward. The resident will fold once we start building." When that came out at the county hearing, you could hear the room go still. The board suspended all HOA projects and launched a full investigation. A week later, Marlene resigned. Pursuing new opportunities, her statement said, "Sure, like running from accountability." The months that followed felt different. The land was scarred but healing. I rebuilt the garden, planted new ferns and wildflowers. The HOA elected a new president, a woman named Dana, who actually came down to talk. No clipboard, no threat. She said, "We've learned our lesson. No more building near the stream." I told her, "You can't own nature. You can only respect it." She nodded. Eventually, I had that lower acre designated as a protected buffer zone. Put up a small wooden sign that said, "Let the river speak." People come by sometimes now, kids with sketchbooks, couples walking at sunset. Nobody fences it off. They just listen. And Marlene, I heard she sold her house and moved to Florida. I hope she checked the flood maps this time. So yeah, I got my peace back, but it came at a price. The kind that reminds you some folks don't learn until the water takes everything they tried to control. And me, I just sit on that porch with my old dog watching the stream move like it always has. Steady, honest, free. If you were me, would you have fought the way I did? Or just let them build their cabins and learn the hard way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know where you stand. Because sometimes the fight for a piece of land isn't about property at all. It's about whether people remember that nature always gets the last word.